All right. Jesus. Hello and welcome to my speech. My name is Gavin Schneider. These are my audience members. There's Grayson.
Hello.
Josh.
Sunny.
Rawed.
Day.
And that is 5 people. And Grayson's going to be our awesome recorder. Thank you, Grayson. All right, am I all good to go? All right. Would you guys rather me give examples before I talk about like the whole theory, or do the whole theory and then do my examples throughout the speech? I can see you thinking.
Let's do examples first.
Examples first? Okay,
Yeah.
you got it. Okay, so I encourage you all to, throughout the next few days, try and realize the times that you're not thinking about what you're doing. And you're just kind of kicked onto autopilot, right? Because I feel like I spend most of my time kind of just in autopilot, and studies show that we spend most of our times not truly critically thinking about what we're doing. So we're going to be talking about communication and how it affects like our brain processes today, and communication and cognition are my 2 favorite areas of study. We're going to be talking about Adorno and Horkheimer's theory of culture industry, and 2 research theories. One's called the social cognitive theory, and the other is called the agenda setting theory. Just threw a lot of really big words at you, but we're going to talk about them all. Don't worry. Because I know you were panicked. So Adorno and Horkheimer wrote an essay just after World War II called Culture Industry. And in this essay, they argue that in a capitalist society where private interest is the #1 goal of production, then media and art and things that are meant to inspire us or to challenge the way we think about the world aren't made that way. They're made as efficiently and as mass-produced as possible to make as much money as possible. But when you do that, you start mass-producing, art, mass-producing media, mass-producing experiences, and and Adorno and Horkheimer argue that this caused homogeny in the population. Now, homogeny means like the same or streamlined. So if I were to say, both those jars are homogeneous, it would mean that all the jars were the same. They saw this happening throughout the world after the Industrial Revolution and after the end of World War II. And they compared the way that the media was streamlining thought and behavior and groups of people to fascism. And just coming out of World War II, this was a really relevant topic at the time. So, flash forward a few decades, and in 1997 there was a communication researcher named Bandura. And he did a study, he wrote about the social cognitive theory. And so there was a study done where there's a lot of places around the world where domestic violence is normalized and it's sort of accepted by groups of people. And there was a group of public health researchers that made a TV program that showed when neighbors or friends heard domestic violence happening, they'd get pots and pans together and bang them to draw attention to it, to get it to stop or get authorities to intervene. And then people in these countries started doing that. Like how they designed the media, the TV show, affected people's choices in the real world with real life things. And that's not just true when it comes to very serious things like domestic violence. That's not just true during public health interventions. The things we watch on TV and the things that we see each other do affect our expectations of ourselves, our expectations of what's going to happen around us, and the way that we behave based off of those expectations. The social cognitive theory argues that when you see other people do things, or when you see other people, you see the way other people interact with the world, you're going to then adopt or consider those things. Meanwhile, there is the agenda setting theory, which kind of takes a step up from that. The agenda setting theory, written by Broesis and Hans. Oh, and you can read more at the link below, just when I upload it. So the agenda setting theory takes a step up from the social cognitive theory. The social cognitive theory talks about the media and each other affecting what we expect from our environment or what we expect from ourselves. The agenda setting theory argues that the media sets our agenda in the sense that it's not just what we expect, it's what we're drawing expectations about. It's the things that we are like, oh, this is a thing that I need to make a decision about. It's almost creating a funnel for what we're thinking about, For example, oh dang it, I didn't start with the example this time. Oh well. For example, AIDS and breast cancer get a lot of coverage in the media, disproportionate to the amount of people that die from those diseases and how expensive those diseases are to maintain or cure. And maintain, prevent, or cure. And the same goes with funding. Diseases that are more popular in the media and that are more known by people are more likely to receive funding, even if they're not as likely to kill people or or they're more challenging to treat or maintain. This is because of This is argued to be because of agenda setting, and because what is covered in the media and what we all talk about dictates what we think and then what we expect our actions to be based on that thing. And so both the agenda setting theory and the social cognitive theory support what Adorno and Horkheimer were saying just after World War II, that when media is mass produced and we're all kind of getting the same thing, it's narrowing down the scope of what we're thinking about, and it's it's influencing our expectations of how we should behave and what our relationship to others and the world should be. Thank you, and have a good night.